I asked myself a question today that honestly made me feel so uncomfortable. I have to find the question. Hold on. The question I asked myself was, what relationships, habits, and situations in my life are keeping me stuck in versions of myself that I keep saying I want to outgrow? And I didn't expect the answer to be what it was. I don't know what I thought the answer would be. Well, actually, that's a lie. I do know what I expected. I expected the answer to be about other people. I expected the answer to be pointing a finger. I expected to point my finger at other people. I expected to say, well, if this person will stop doing this, or if the situation would change, or if life would just give me a break. But when I actually sat down with this question, the answer wasn't nearly as convenient. Because some of the things that were keeping me stuck were things that I also participated in. I was participating in these things. And that's the hard thing to admit. Not because I think I'm a bad person, but because accountability feels a lot heavier when it's coming from yourself. I realized I've been feeling stuck, not in every area of my life, but enough areas that it's becoming impossible to ignore. I've been talking about moving, talking about changing careers, talking about growing my content, talking about becoming the version of myself I keep imagining. And then I had to ask myself, okay, so what's actually stopping me? What's stopping you? And then the answer wasn't fun at all. They weren't cute. They weren't inspirational. The answers were just honest. And one thing I've realized about myself is that I don't always tell the outright truth, but I also don't outright lie. Sometimes I tell half truths. Sometimes I tell stories that make me feel better about my choices. I know we all been there. I know you've also done it. And even if you don't know that you've done it, everyone does it. And today I caught myself doing it. A few days ago, I told myself I couldn't record my podcast because the audio in my car wasn't good enough. Sounds reasonable. In my head, it sounds reasonable, except that's not what happened. I didn't record my episode. I never recorded the episode. I got distracted. I made different choices. I put other things above my priorities. And somehow my brain created a prettier version of the story. When I realized that, I just sat there. Why did I feel the need to make the story sound better than what it was? Why couldn't I just admit that I procrastinated? Why couldn't I admit that I got sidetracked? Why couldn't I admit that I got distracted? Why couldn't I admit that I avoided the thing that I said I wanted to do? Once I started pulling on that thread, everything else started unraveling too. The drinking, the people pleasing, the validation seeking, the procrastination, the impulsiveness. Not all the time, not every day, but enough that I can see the pattern. And maybe that's what growth actually looks like. Not pretending the pattern isn't there, not excusing the pattern, not shaming yourself for the pattern either. Just seeing it clearly for what it is. And I see creators online say things like, if you want to be her, just be her. Just embody her. Do the habits that she would do. Act like her, dress like her, wake up like her, think like her, fake it till you make it. And honestly, I think that's only half the story. Because what happens when you finally become her? What happens when you get the apartment? What happens when you get the followers? What happens when you get the money? What happens when you finally become the version of yourself you've been chasing? Because if you never learned from your old habits, if you never forgive yourself, if you never took accountability, if you never examined the patterns that got you here, then eventually you're going to slip back into your old self. That's the part people don't talk about. You can change your clothes. You can change your hair. You can change your hair. You can change your clothes. Sorry. You can change your clothes. You can change your routine. You can change your environment. You can change your aesthetic. You can change everything about yourself. But if you don't change your relationship with yourself, eventually life is going to test you because one day you're going to get lonely. One day you're going to get stressed. One day you're going to get rejected. One day you're going to get hurt. One day you're going to make a mistake. And when that happens, You don't become who you're pretending to be. You become who you've practiced being. That realization hit me hard because I don't want to perform healing. I don't think that I was doing that intentionally. I felt the growth, I seen the growth, but it also felt performative slightly. I don't want to pretend being a different person. I want to actually become the healed version of myself. I want to become that version of myself. I want to actually become her. I don't want to pretend it. I don't want to fake it till I make it. I want to actually do the work. I want to feel that uncomfortable middle of everything. And I think that's why I've been so emotional lately. I've been catching myself. I've been catching my old habits. I've been catching old thought patterns. I've been catching old behaviors. And for a second I thought that that meant I wasn't growing. But maybe it's the opposite. Maybe noticing the pattern is growth. Maybe taking accountability is growth. Maybe being with yourself is growth. Because I can sit here and pretend that I'm already healed, or I can tell the truth. I can tell the truth that I'm still learning. I'm still unlearning. I'm still catching myself. I'm still figuring it out. And maybe that's okay. Maybe becoming her isn't about pretending to be someone else. Maybe it's about becoming more honest with who you already are. I asked myself this question and I actually got down to the nitty gritty. I was in my car and I thought I was crying because I felt guilty. I started crying. I was bawling my eyes out. I felt all this emotion suddenly. And I thought I was crying because I felt guilty, but I don't think that's the truth. I don't think that's true at all. I think I'm grieving. I'm grieving the fact that some chapters in my life are ending. I'm grieving the fact that some relationships have run their course. I'm grieving the version of me that stayed in a situation longer than she knew she wanted. Because the truth is, not every relationship ends because someone is horrible. Not every relationship ends because someone cheated. Not every relationship ends because someone was toxic. Sometimes two people just grow into different people. And that's sad, especially when you've spent years of your life with this person. Especially when you've built routines together. Especially when you've built a family together. It's sad. And I think I've been avoiding that sadness because I let myself feel it. Because if I let myself feel it, then I have to admit that something is changing. And change is scary. Here's something else that I realized. There was someone I was thinking about a lot lately. And I kept trying to understand why. Why them? Why now? Why did they have such a hold on my attention? And after being brutally honest with myself today, I think I finally figured it out. It wasn't really about them. They're just a symbol. They're a symbol of possibility, a symbol of newness, a symbol of a future that feels lighter than the one I'm currently living. And once I realized that, something interesting happened. My feelings actually calmed down for this person. Not because I stopped caring, not because I suddenly stopped finding them attractive, but because I finally understood what they represented. And understanding brings peace. The truth is, I don't need another person to save me. I don't need another relationship. I don't need another distraction. What I need is courage. The courage to become the person I keep saying I want to be. The courage to leave this situation that no longer fits. The courage to stop lying to myself. Because after everything I realized today, I think that that's the real lesson. I wasn't stuck because of other people. I wasn't stuck because my life was unfair. I wasn't stuck because I lacked potential. I was stuck because I kept avoiding the truth. And today was the first day in a long time I stopped doing that. And honestly, this feels like progress. It was nice to get all of that out. It was nice to cry. It was nice to stop lying to myself about certain situations in my life. Stop lying to myself about myself because I know that I am impulsive. I know that I have flaws. I know that I can be reactive. And when I actually sat down and asked myself that question, all these truths just flew out of me. And it was hard to hear from myself because if I would have heard these things from someone else, I would have immediately got defensive. But hearing it from yourself, you can't be defensive towards yourself. You can only keep being honest with yourself, or you can keep lying to yourself. And today I chose to stop lying to myself and actually sit in this uncomfortable truth, in this uncomfortable middle. Because yes, I am healing, but I do have backslides. Yes, I am trying to become a better person. I'm trying to become successful. But if I don't change myself, if I don't take the risk, if I don't stop lying to myself, I'll never be her. And if you've been feeling this uncomfortable nagging with yourself, I don't know how to describe it. If you've been feeling this weird sense of emptiness or you've been feeling like a fraud in your own life, I think you should seriously ask yourself this question. And don't just answer it with surface level answers. Actually dig deep. Get away from everyone. Separate yourself from everyone. Go sit in a quiet room. Sit in your car. Sit somewhere where your answer won't be provoked by someone else. Ask yourself this question. What relationships, habits, and situations in my life are keeping me stuck in versions of myself that I keep saying I want to outgrow? I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. I'm Yanni or Imani, by the way, whichever you prefer. And thank you for listening. Take it away, Samara.